Hey everyone, Barry Murphy here. Garrett reached out to me to record a little something for this anniversary episode for TNA slash Impact, celebrating 20 years in existence, and I think it's a really fitting time for that milestone to roll around, because obviously with things like You've Got to Be Kidding Me, but also various other little corners of the sort of wrestling fandom, it feels like right now is a period where people are genuinely reassessing Impact's legacy and contributions to wrestling for the positive. Obviously they've had a whole hell of a lot of ups and downs, a lot of very justified criticism, but I think when people kind of dive back into their back catalogue, they see a lot of stuff that is perhaps a little bit underrated, perhaps is a little bit under-celebrated. You know, a lot of influences on the wrestling landscape that are totally apparent when you watch them with 2022 eyes, both, you know, stylistically, but also in terms of just, you know, talent and wrestlers who'd go on to be hugely influential in WWE and now obviously AEW. But even things like, you know, the podcast's namesake, you know, the commentary team of Don West and Mike Tenay. I'm really glad that a lot of people are looking back on that team and going, you know what? They were really great. They were legitimately really great, and they are perhaps now quite underrated in the grand scheme of things. But there's so much stuff like that in TNA's history. There's a lot of huge names in wrestling who've had big runs in bigger companies. I think talent discovery is like arguably one of the most important traits of any booker, promoter, or organization. And when you look at the likes of, you know, your AJ Styles, your Samoa Joes, your Motor City Machine Guns, your you know, the list goes on of people who went on to make waves. I think Impact deserves a lot of credit for that. And as I said, you know, it hasn't been perfect. I don't think the 20-year history of Impact is simply that of a great company that just wasn't appreciated in their time. I think there was a lot of misfires, a lot of controversies, a lot of very justified criticism. But that's wrestling as a whole, isn't it? It's never just straightforward. You're great or you're not great. There's always a mix of highs and lows and peaks and celebrations and milestones and controversies, and for better or worse, I think over the course of 20 years, I think Impact's contribution to wrestling has been overall worthwhile, especially as you now look at them in 2022 as obviously perhaps less notorious and maybe lower on the wrestling totem pole that they were, say, during the Spike days. But now they occupy this really cool sort of middle space above and beyond the indie space, but maybe slightly below the AEWs and WWEs of the world. But I think that's a really important space to be in, that sort of mid-sized promotion that has some stars but still has some kind of envelope pushing ideas that allows them to maybe go in some different directions and do some different stuff other than, you know, what the big guys are doing. So yeah, I'm really grateful that their company exists for all the ups and downs. I think it's they're, you know, they've got some really rich history, and I think they have a very important role in the industry today. Yeah, so thanks again to Garrett for asking me to do this. Happy birthday, TNA / Impact. And yeah, again, this is Barry signing off. If you don't know myself, you can catch me and Garrett later this year debating the game of the year on the Link to the Cast podcast. And if you want to hear more from myself, you can follow me on Twitter @TheBarryLad. Thanks, guys.